In the quiet landscapes of medieval Europe, a figure emerged, not as a hero of grand tales, but as an essential cornerstone of everyday life. The blacksmith, with his steady hands and rhythmic hammering, was pivotal in weaving the fabric of village existence. His role was not carved from the excitement of battles or explorations, but from the simple, unwavering repetition of daily tasks. Each day, the blacksmith embarked on a journey defined by routine and necessity, crafting the tools and implements that sustained both humble households and sprawling farmlands alike. Listeners are gently invited to share the time and location of their listening, a small connection to the vast tapestry of time that stretches from those medieval days to our own. If you find solace in this gentle exploration, consider subscribing to join us on future wanderings of the mind. As we delve deeper into the world of the medieval blacksmith, we uncover the quiet, uncelebrated heroism of a life spent in dedication to craft and community. In the gentle hum of a medieval village, the blacksmith stood as a figure of quiet significance. Not a hero clad in armor, nor a noble with grand estates, yet his presence was as vital as the soil underfoot. The blacksmith was a craftsman, a problem solver, and a silent guardian of the community's daily life. His trade was one of practical necessity, woven into the fabric of everyday existence, much like the thatch on the roofs or the cobblestones beneath the villagers' feet. In a world where most tools were made and repaired by hand, the blacksmith's skill was indispensable. He was the keeper of the forge, a place where raw metal met the transformative force of fire. Here, iron was coaxed into shapes that would become the ploughs for tilling fields or the nails that held together wooden structures. Without these tools, life would grind to a halt, for the fields would lie fallow, and the buildings would falter. The blacksmith's work was the quiet assurance of continuity, the steady promise that life could proceed as usual. The respect accorded to a blacksmith was born of necessity and admiration for his craft. In villages where life was shaped by the rhythms of the seasons, his work provided a steady counterbalance to the unpredictable elements of nature. His ability to transform metal into useful objects was a revered skill, one that required years of dedicated learning and practice. Villagers relied on him not only for new implements, but also for repairs that could extend the life of existing tools. A crucial service in an era where resources were precious and wastefulness was not an option. Dependence on the blacksmith went beyond individual needs. The community as a whole leaned on his expertise. In times of sowing and harvest, when the demand for functional tools surged, the blacksmith's forge was a hive of activity. Farmers entrusted him with their ploughshares and sickles, knowing that without these instruments, their ability to cultivate the land would be severely hampered. The blacksmith's role was thus integral to the village's agricultural productivity and, by extension, its survival. Moreover, the blacksmith's contributions extended to local defenses. While not a soldier, his work fortified the community against potential threats. He forged weapons and repaired armor, providing a measure of security in an uncertain world. In this way, he was a silent partner in the village's protection, his anvil and hammer as crucial as the watchful eyes of the sentries. The blacksmith's status was further cemented by the trust placed in him by his fellow villagers. Trust was an essential currency in medieval society, and the blacksmith earned it through consistent, reliable service. His reputation was built on the quality of his work, the durability of the tools he crafted, and his ability to deliver on promises. In a tightly knit community, word of mouth was a powerful force, and a blacksmith with a solid reputation could rely on a steady stream of work and the goodwill of his neighbors. This trust extended to the social fabric of the village. The blacksmith was often privy to the concerns and stories of those who came to his forge. As villagers waited for their repairs or new tools, conversations would flow, allowing the blacksmith to play a quiet role in the community's social life. He listened, offered advice when asked, and maintained a discreet presence as lives unfolded around him. In this way, the blacksmith was more than just a craftsman. He was a custodian of the village's shared experiences and collective memory. In considering the blacksmith's place within medieval society, one sees a role defined by balance and constancy. He was neither at the top of the social hierarchy nor at its base, but his work was essential to all. His was a life of routine, yet each day brought quiet challenges as he adapted to the needs of his community. The blacksmith's contribution to medieval life was not one of grandeur or spectacle, but rather the steady, reassuring presence of someone who shaped the tools that shaped the world around him. As the village moved through the cycles of the year, the blacksmith remained a constant, his forge a beacon of reliability. His work was a testament to the enduring power of skilled craftsmanship and the vital role of the individual within the collective. The blacksmith's place in medieval society was thus a reflection of the balance between individual talent and communal need, a balance that ensured the village could thrive amid the challenges of the medieval world. In the cool shadows of a medieval village, the path to becoming a blacksmith was a slow and deliberate journey, often beginning in childhood. Boys, sometimes as young as 7 or 8, would leave their family homes to enter the household of a master blacksmith. This marked the start of their apprenticeship, a period defined not by haste or urgency, but by the gentle passage of time and the gradual accumulation of knowledge. The young apprentice's world would become one of observation and imitation. In the early days, tasks were simple, yet essential, sweeping the floors, fetching water, and keeping the fire stoked under close supervision. These chores, though seemingly mundane, were foundational, teaching the apprentice about the rhythms and necessities of the smithy. It was through these small acts that the apprentice would begin to appreciate the delicate balance between fire and metal, understanding that each component had its place and purpose within the workshop. As weeks turned into months, the apprentice would slowly be introduced to the tools of the trade. The master would demonstrate the use of hammers and tongs, allowing the apprentice to observe the precise movements required to shape metal. These lessons were not rushed. Instead, they unfolded at a pace that allowed for careful observation and practice. Every clang of the hammer on anvil became a lesson in itself, each spark and glow from the forge a reminder of the potency and potential of heat. The teaching methods of the time relied heavily on this direct transfer of skill, where the master's expertise was passed down through demonstration and repetition. This hands-on approach ensured that the apprentice not only learned the techniques, but also absorbed the subtleties of the craft. Mistakes were inevitable, yet they were met with patience, as each error was an opportunity for learning rather than a cause for reprimand. Through seasons and years, the apprentice grew more confident, gradually taking on more complex tasks. The shaping of horseshoes, the crafting of nails, and the mending of tools became routine, each task reinforcing a growing competence. The apprentice learned to listen to the metal, to feel its readiness under the hammer, and to gauge the precise moment when it was pliable enough to shape. These skills were not merely taught, but were cultivated over countless hours of practice, where the rhythm of the work became second nature. The relationship between master and apprentice was one of mutual reliance and respect. The apprentice depended on the master for guidance and instruction, while the master relied on the apprentice to assist with the demands of the forge. This bond was strengthened over time, as trust was built through shared labor and the gradual realization of the apprentice's potential. The apprentice was not merely learning a trade, but was becoming part of a tradition, inheriting the knowledge and skills that had been honed over generations. As the apprentice approached the end of their training, typically after several years, they would be expected to demonstrate their proficiency. This was not a formal examination, but rather a recognition by the master and the community that the apprentice was ready to work independently. The completion of an apprenticeship was a quiet milestone, marking the transition from student to craftsman, and the beginning of a lifelong journey of continuous learning and refinement. In the end, the apprenticeship was a testament to the enduring nature of skill and knowledge passed through the hands of generations. It was a process that valued patience and perseverance, where the gradual mastery of the craft was achieved, not through haste, but through steady dedication. Nestled within the heart of a medieval village, the blacksmith's workshop, or smithy, stood as a place of both utility and quiet significance. This was a space defined by the interplay of fire and iron, where the craftsman worked with a steady hand and a focused mind. The smithy itself was a simple structure, often built of timber with a thatched or tiled roof, providing shelter yet allowing the necessary ventilation for the constant fires within. Its walls absorbed the echoes of countless hammer strikes, creating a familiar rhythm that resonated through the surroundings. At the center of the smithy was the forge, a sturdy stone or brick hearth where the blacksmith kindled his fire. This fire, fueled by charcoal or coal, was the very heart of the workspace, providing the intense heat required to soften metal. It was here that iron would glow a vivid orange, yielding to the blacksmith's tools and expertise. The forge was a place of transformation, where raw materials slowly took on new forms under the careful guidance of skilled hands. The management of this fire was an art in itself, requiring the blacksmith to maintain just the right amount of heat to ensure the metal was malleable, yet not overheated. Beside the forge stood the anvil, a solid block of iron or steel, its surface worn smooth by years of use. The anvil served as a steadfast partner to the blacksmith, its weight providing the necessary resistance for shaping and refining metal. This tool was both a platform for creativity and a symbol of the blacksmith's craft. Over time, the anvil bore witness to countless creations, each unique yet familiar, shaped by the rhythm of hammer strikes. The blacksmith's movements around the anvil were a practiced dance, each step purposeful and measured. Scattered throughout the smithy were an array of tools, each with its own specific function. Hammers of various sizes and shapes, from the heavy sledgehammer to more delicate peen hammers, were essential for coaxing metal into desired forms. Tongs, with their long handles, allowed the blacksmith to grip and maneuver hot metal safely, while chisels and punches enabled more detailed work. These tools, often crafted by the blacksmith himself, were extensions of his hands, allowing him to execute precise techniques with ease. Over time, they became worn, their wooden handles polished by use, their surfaces marked by the constant application of force. The bellows, large and sturdy, hung near the forge, ready to fan the flames with a steady flow of air. Operated by hand or foot, the bellows were an essential part of maintaining the forge's heat. With each breath of air they provided, the fire roared to life, its intensity shaped by the blacksmith's needs. This simple yet effective mechanism was a testament to the ingenuity of medieval craftsmanship, allowing the blacksmith to control one of nature's most powerful elements with precision. The smithy was a space defined by sound and motion. The clang of hammer on anvil, the roar of the fire, and the rhythmic whoosh of the bellows created a symphony of industry that was both calming and purposeful. Within these walls, time seemed to move at a different pace, dictated by the gradual process of heating, shaping, and cooling metal. Each task required patience, as the transformation of raw iron into functional objects was a journey of careful steps and mindful adjustments. The air within the smithy was thick with the smell of smoke and hot metal, a distinctive aroma that clung to the blacksmith's clothing and lingered in the air long after the fire had cooled. This olfactory signature was a constant reminder of the work at hand, a grounding presence that connected the blacksmith to his craft and his environment. The sensory experience of the smithy was a tapestry of heat, sound, and scent, each element intertwined with the others, creating a unique world of its own. In this space, repetition was not monotonous but rather a meditative practice. The blacksmith honed his skills through the consistent application of familiar techniques, each stroke of the hammer building upon the last. This repetition allowed for the gradual accumulation of knowledge and expertise, turning routine into mastery. Over time, the smithy became a place of quiet reflection, where the blacksmith could lose himself in the rhythm of his work, each creation a testament to his dedication and skill. The smithy itself was a space of continuity and tradition, a place where the ancient art of smithing was preserved and passed on through generations. Each tool, each method, each creation was a link in a long chain of craftsmanship, connecting the present to a distant past. The blacksmith, through his daily labor, contributed to this enduring legacy, shaping not only metal but also the community that relied on his work. As the day drew to a close, the smithy would slowly return to a state of rest. Tools were carefully placed back in their rightful spots, the fire allowed to die down, its embers glowing softly in the fading light. The anvil, once again silent, stood ready for the next day's work, its surface cool to the touch. The smithy, in its quietude, remained a steadfast presence, a reminder of the essential role it played in the life of the village and the blacksmith's unwavering commitment to his craft. In the soft embrace of pre-dawn, when the world still held its breath in the gentle grip of night, the blacksmith began his day. The village lay quiet, resting under a blanket of stillness, save for the distant murmur of the waking birds. It was a time when shadows stretched long, and the air carried the crisp promise of a new day. This was the hour when the blacksmith would rise, his movements deliberate and unhurried, knowing the rhythm of the day ahead. The blacksmith's first task was to breathe life into the forge, coaxing flames from cold ashes. This was a delicate dance of elements, a blend of patience and skill. With kindling in hand, he would crouch beside the hearth, arranging the wood with care. The act of striking flint against steel was both ritual and necessity, each spark a fleeting star in the dim light. As the tinder caught and the first flickers of fire took hold, the forge began its transformation from silent sentinel to vibrant heart of the smithy. As the flames grew, the blacksmith fed them steadily, adding larger pieces of wood until a robust fire crackled brightly. The forge responded to his touch, a living entity that required constant attention. The bellows, vital and steady, were worked with a familiar rhythm, breathing air into the growing blaze, coaxing it to greater heights. The air, once cool and still, now shimmered with heat, filled with the gentle roar of fire asserting its presence. This morning ritual was not merely about kindling a physical fire, but setting the tone for the day. The blacksmith understood the importance of starting well, for the forge's heat would dictate the pace of his work, its readiness a silent partner in the tasks to come. The fire required nurturing, a reminder of the balance between man and nature, a partnership forged over countless mornings like this one. As the fire settled into a steady burn, the blacksmith prepared the forge for the day's labors. Tools were laid out with precision, each a familiar extension of his hands. Hammers of varying weights, tongs for gripping, chisels for shaping, all arranged with the same care as a painter would his brushes. The anvil, solid and enduring, stood ready to receive the blows that would shape the day's work. The blacksmith's preparation was methodical, each action deliberate and unhurried. This was a time of quiet focus, when the world outside remained hushed and the demands of the day were yet to intrude. In this space, the blacksmith centered himself, aligning his thoughts with the tasks ahead, his mind as ordered as the tools before him. The village began to stir as the first light of dawn crept across the sky, a gentle herald of the day's arrival. The blacksmith, however, had been at work for some time, his forge already alive with the deep, steady pulse of a well-tended fire. By the time his neighbors emerged from their homes, the smithy was a place of warmth and purpose, the air filled with the rich scent of burning wood and the promise of industry. It was in these quiet moments, as the village came to life, that the blacksmith found a deep connection to his craft. The routine might seem mundane to an outsider, yet within the repetition lay the essence of his trade. Each morning mirrored the last, yet each day was unique in its subtle variations. The fire's temperament, the tool's readiness, the day's demands, all slight shifts in the pattern that guided his hands and shaped his work. In preparing the forge, the blacksmith also prepared himself, aligning body and mind for the hours ahead. The physical act of readying the space was a meditation of sorts, grounding him in the present and opening his mind to the possibilities of the day. This was his time, before the world imposed its needs, a sanctuary of flame and shadow where he could lose himself in the simple, profound act of creation. As the sun rose higher, casting its light over the village, the blacksmith was ready. The forge, now fully awake, waited patiently, its heat a constant presence, its flames a reminder of the power harnessed within. The morning's work would soon begin, each task a step in the dance between man and metal. Yet in this moment, before the hammer fell and the anvil sang, there was a pause, a breath, a final, silent acknowledgement of the dawn's gentle gift. And so, with the forge prepared and the day stretching out before him, the blacksmith stood poised at the threshold of his work, a figure carved in shadow and light, ready to greet the day with steady hands and a quiet heart. In a medieval smithy, the soft glow of embers begins to stir with the first light of dawn. Fire is both ally and adversary, an essential element in the transformation of raw metal into tools and implements. Charcoal, coal, and wood each play their part in this delicate dance, providing the heat necessary for the blacksmith's work while posing an ever-present risk. Charcoal, a favored choice for many smiths, is derived from wood, slowly burned in a controlled environment to remove moisture and volatile substances. Its ability to produce a steady, intense heat makes it ideal for forging. The blacksmith knows the secret language of the fire, gently feeding the charcoal to maintain a consistent temperature. This heat is crucial, softening iron to a malleable state, ready to be shaped under the hammer's rhythmic blows. Coal, a denser, more energy-rich substance than charcoal, finds its place in the smithy as well. Its higher carbon content can produce greater heat, useful for larger or more demanding tasks. Yet, coal's use is not without its challenges. It requires careful management to avoid excessive smoke and soot, which can obscure the smith's work and tarnish the metal. A steady hand and keen eye are needed to balance these elements, ensuring that the forge remains a tool rather than a hindrance. Wood, though less efficient in producing heat compared to charcoal or coal, remains a constant companion. It serves as the kindling, the initial spark that breathes life into the forge each morning. The crackle of wood igniting is a familiar sound, marking the start of a new day's labor. The choice of wood matters, with some types burning hotter and longer than others, and the blacksmith must choose wisely, considering both availability and performance. Managing a fire is an art, one that requires both intuition and experience. The bellows, an essential tool, allows the smith to control the intensity of the fire, supplying oxygen to fan the flames or calming them when needed. The rhythmic push and pull of the bellows is a dance with the elements, a gentle coaxing of the fire to do its work without succumbing to the chaos it can unleash. The blacksmith understands fire's dual nature. It is a bringer of warmth and light, a catalyst for creation, yet it holds the potential for destruction. A stray spark can lead to disaster, and so vigilance is constant. The smithy is a space of ordered chaos, where fire is tamed but never fully domesticated. As the day stretches on, the fire's demands shift. What begins with a gentle coaxing evolves into a steady maintenance. The blacksmith tends to the forge, adding fuel as needed, ensuring that the heat remains consistent. The sound of the fire, a constant companion, is punctuated by the ringing of the hammer on anvil, a melody of industry and craft. In this environment, the blacksmith must respect the limits of the materials. Too much heat can ruin a piece, while too little can render the metal unworkable. It is a delicate balance, achieved through experience and a deep understanding of the elements at play. Each piece of metal brought to the forge tells its own story, shaped by the precise control of heat and time. Fire, in its elemental form, is a teacher. It imparts lessons in humility, patience, and respect. The blacksmith learns to listen to its whispers, to interpret the subtle changes in color and heat, guiding the process of transformation. This relationship with fire is one of mutual dependence, where the blacksmith's skill is honed by the very element that defines their craft. The forge, fueled by charcoal, coal, and wood, becomes a crucible of creativity and endurance. It is a place where the blacksmith's expertise is tested daily, where the simple act of managing a fire becomes a profound expression of skill. Through this interaction, the blacksmith finds a rhythm, a quiet meditation in the midst of labor, as the heat of the forge shapes both metal and mind. As the day draws to a close, the fire's role transforms once more. The blacksmith reduces the intensity, allowing the forge to cool in measured stages. Tools are carefully arranged, and the remaining fuel is stored for another day. The fire, now a gentle glow, signals the end of the day's work, a reminder of the cycle that will begin anew with the dawn. In the quiet that follows, the blacksmith reflects on the day's labors, on the fire that has both challenged and aided them. It is a relationship built on understanding and respect, a partnership that has shaped countless lives and communities over the centuries. In the medieval world, the management of fire was not just a practical necessity, but a fundamental aspect of daily life, a testament to the enduring connection between humanity and the natural world. In the cool, soft light of morning, the blacksmith's day begins with a familiar rhythm. The forge, still quiet, will soon come alive with the demands of the village. Among the first tasks are those that ensure the smooth functioning of everyday life. Horseshoes, nails, and hinges, all essential objects, begin to take shape under the skilled hands of the smith. Horseshoes are a staple of the morning's work. Horses, crucial for transport and agriculture, require well-fitted shoes to protect their hooves. The blacksmith carefully selects a piece of iron, heating it until it glows a bright orange. The color indicates the metal is ready to be shaped. With measured, deliberate strikes of the hammer, the metal bends to the smith's will. Each shoe is custom-fitted, ensuring comfort for the animal and longevity for the shoe itself. Over time, the blacksmith refines this seemingly simple process to an art, each movement precise and purposeful. Nails, though small, are equally vital. They hold together the structures that form the backbone of a medieval village. From homes to barns and carts, nails provide the invisible strength needed for stability. Transforming raw metal into functional nails involves a delicate balance. The smith heats and draws out the iron, tapering it into a point with careful, repeated strikes. These unobtrusive objects quietly accumulate, their presence felt in the solid, reassuring weight of walls and roofs. Hinges, too, are among the common requests that greet the early hours. They allow doors to swing open and closed, offering protection and privacy to the inhabitants within. Crafting a hinge requires not only strength, but an understanding of mechanics. The blacksmith fashions the hinge to ensure smooth movement, its parts aligned with a precision that belies the rudimentary tools at hand. As each hinge is fitted to its door, the blacksmith's influence extends silently throughout the village. The forge is not merely a place of creation, it is a hub of repair. Agricultural tools worn through constant use find new life under the blacksmith's skill. Ploughs, scythes, and hoes are brought in, their metal components dulled by the relentless work of the fields. The blacksmith assesses each piece, determining the necessary repairs. Often, this involves reshaping and sharpening, a process that requires patience and attention. As the day unfolds, these tools will return to their owners, ready to once again till the soil and reap the harvest. In this way, the blacksmith's morning is a tapestry of repetitive yet essential tasks. Each piece of metal, transformed and renewed, speaks to the quiet persistence of life in a medieval village. The work is seldom dramatic, yet it is indispensable. Through these small acts of creation and repair, the blacksmith ensures the community's continued function, one horseshoe, one nail, one hinge at a time. As the morning progresses, the rhythm of the forge becomes a familiar soundtrack. The steady beat of the hammer, the soft hiss of the bellows, and the crackle of the fire form an unhurried symphony. This harmony reflects the balance within the village itself, where each component, each individual, plays a role in the collective well-being. Over time, the blacksmith's expertise grows, shaped by the demands of the work and the needs of the community. Observing the gradual changes in the village, the smith gains insight into the subtle interplay of human and environment. Every horseshoe fitted, every nail driven, and every hinge crafted is a testament to the enduring relationship between the craft and the life it supports. In this quiet corner of the world, the blacksmith's forge stands as a beacon of stability. The work done here, though often taken for granted, is a cornerstone of medieval existence. Through the methodical, measured processes of the morning, the blacksmith contributes to the unseen foundations of daily life, ensuring that the village continues to thrive in its timeless, unassuming way. In the midst of a medieval village, one could find a figure whose importance was quietly woven into the community's fabric, the blacksmith. Here, in the heart of the village, their interactions with the villagers were as integral as the hammer to the anvil. The work of the blacksmith was not a solitary venture. Rather, it was deeply embedded in the daily rhythms of neighboring farmers, merchants, and travelers who passed through. Farmers, the backbone of the medieval economy, often found themselves at the blacksmith's forge. Their needs were simple, yet critical. A broken ploughshare could delay planting. A cracked hoe might mean hours lost in the fields. These were not mere inconveniences, they were potential threats to survival. The blacksmith's role was to mitigate these threats, offering repairs and crafting new tools when necessary. In return, the farmer might bring a sack of grain or a few eggs, small tokens in a world where barter often stood in for coin. The relationship between the blacksmith and the farmer was one of mutual dependency. Over time, a quiet trust developed, reinforced with each successful repair or new tool fashioned. The blacksmith knew the value of this trust, for in a small community, reputation was a currency all its own. A reliable smith could expect the loyalty of his customers and, in turn, a steady flow of work. Merchants, on the other hand, brought a different set of interactions. Traveled and worldly, they carried with them tales from distant places, goods not seen in local markets, and sometimes the rare glint of silver. For the blacksmith, these visits were occasions for different kinds of negotiation: shoes for the merchant's horses, repairs to wagon wheels, and occasionally more elaborate commissions. Here, the exchange was more often in coinage, a precious commodity that could be used to purchase raw materials or luxuries not otherwise available. Negotiation with merchants required a deft touch. The smith had to balance the demands of his craft with the merchant's desire for a bargain. Each transaction was a subtle dance of words and gestures, where both parties sought advantage without breaking the bonds of civility. Over time, these dealings could evolve into partnerships where trust facilitated smoother negotiations and repeated business. Travelers, too, found themselves at the door of the smithy, often for the simple need of a horseshoe replaced or a piece of tack repaired. These were usually brief encounters, passing moments in a longer journey. Yet, even in these transient interactions, the blacksmith's reputation played a vital role. A traveler's word could carry tales of a reliable smith across great distances, spreading the name of the village for reasons other than its landscape. The blacksmith's relationship with his customers was thus a tapestry of interactions, woven with threads of negotiation and trust. Each encounter added to the whole, shaping the perception of the smith not just as a craftsman, but as a pillar of the community. His work was a service, yes, but also a testament to his skill and dependability. In this way, the blacksmith's engagement with those around him was less about the objects themselves and more about the bonds they helped forge. Each customer left with more than a repaired tool or newly fashioned implement. They departed with the assurance of reliability and the quiet promise of future assistance should they need it. The exchange of goods and services between the blacksmith and his customers was not merely transactional. It was an ongoing conversation, an ever-evolving relationship built upon the unspoken understanding that each party contributed to the other's well-being. This sense of community, this network of interdependence, was the true foundation of the blacksmith's role. The gentle clang of hammer on anvil, the soft murmur of negotiations, and the quiet satisfaction of a job well done all contributed to the rhythm of life in the village. Through these interactions, the blacksmith became more than just a craftsman. He was a trusted figure, a keeper of the community's needs, and a reliable presence in their everyday lives. As the day wore on and the light began to fade, the smithy would see its final customers for the day. Farmers returning homeward, merchants preparing for the next leg of their journey, and travelers pausing briefly before resuming their travels. Each departure marked not an end, but the continuation of a relationship that would pick up again with the dawn of a new day. Thus, the blacksmith's work with his customers was a testament to the quiet endurance of human connection and the enduring need for skilled hands in a world that relied on the strength of both metal and trust. It was a simple yet profound existence, defined not by grand gestures, but by small acts of service that shaped the daily life of an entire community. In the quiet corners of medieval life, the blacksmith stood as a figure of robust resilience, his craft deeply woven into the fabric of daily existence. The physical demands placed upon him were considerable, defined by strength, endurance, and a persistent resilience that shaped his every movement. This was not the heroic labor of legend, but a steady, enduring effort that marked the blacksmith's place in his community. At the heart of the blacksmith's toil was the necessity of strength. Each day began with the heft of heavy tools, their weight a constant companion. The hammer, an extension of his arm, required a forceful swing, its impact resonating through the metal and into the bones. This strength was not merely physical, but a learned discipline, a steady rhythm developed over years of repetitive motion. As the hammer descended upon the anvil, it did so with a precision born of countless hours of practice, the metal slowly yielding to the blacksmith's will. Endurance, too, played its part. The work was unrelenting, demanding sustained effort over long hours. The heat of the forge was a constant presence, enveloping the blacksmith in its embrace. It was a warmth that could quickly become overwhelming, yet it was essential to the task at hand. The blacksmith learned to pace himself, to work in harmony with the ebb and flow of the fire. This endurance was not just a physical necessity, but a mental fortitude, a determination to see each task through to its completion, despite the fatigue that crept into weary muscles. The physical challenges extended beyond the immediate demands of strength and endurance. The blacksmith's body was subject to the wear and tear of repetitive strain, each movement etching its mark over time. The grip of the tongs, the repeated swing of the hammer, and the steady pressure of shaping metal all contributed to the gradual accumulation of aches and stiffness. The hands, calloused and worn, bore the story of countless hours spent in labor. Yet, it was a story told in quiet perseverance, the blacksmith accepting the toll as part of his craft. In this world of physical demands, injuries were an ever-present risk. Burns were commonplace, the inevitable consequence of working so closely with fire and heated metal. The blacksmith learned to move with care, to respect the boundaries of the forge. Despite this caution, the occasional blister or scorch mark was worn almost as a badge of experience, a testament to a life spent at the anvil. Cuts and abrasions, too, were familiar companions, the sharp edges of metal catching at unwary skin. Each injury was met with a stoic acceptance, a quiet resilience that spoke to the blacksmith's understanding of his craft's hazards. The body, over time, adapted to these physical demands. Muscles strengthened, movements became more efficient, and the blacksmith developed an intuitive sense of balance and coordination. This adaptation was gradual, a slow transformation that paralleled the steady rhythm of the work. It was not a conscious effort, but an organic process, the body molding itself to the tasks it performed daily. In this way, the blacksmith was both shaped by and shaper of his environment, each day leaving its subtle imprint upon him. Yet, for all the physical demands, there was a quiet satisfaction in the work. The blacksmith understood the value of his labor, the essential role he played in his community. Each piece of metal shaped, each tool repaired, was a tangible reminder of his contribution. This sense of purpose provided a counterbalance to the physical strain, a source of motivation that sustained him through the long hours of the forge. In the end, the blacksmith's life was one of equilibrium, a balance between the demands of the body and the satisfaction of the craft. It was a life marked by resilience and quiet strength, an enduring testament to the essential nature of his work. As the day drew to a close, the blacksmith's body bore the marks of his labor, yet his spirit remained unbowed, ready to face the challenges of another day. In the heart of the medieval village, the blacksmith's workshop stood as a realm unto itself, defined by a unique symphony of sound, smell, and rhythm. Here, the world seemed both smaller and more expansive, where the boundaries of the forge contained a universe of purposeful noise and movement. The blacksmith's day was punctuated by the steady, rhythmic ringing of hammer against anvil, a sound that resonated with a comforting predictability. Each strike was a testament to the blacksmith's skill, a reminder of the transformation of raw metal into something useful, something vital. The anvil, a solid block of iron, absorbed the force of the smith's blows, sending vibrations through the air and into the ground. This was not a sound of chaos, but of order, each hammer stroke carefully timed, each ring a note in a long, unending composition. The repetitive clang created a rhythm that guided the day's work, a constant presence that spoke of the labor's continuity and the community's reliance on the smith's craft. Accompanying the sounds were the rich, complex smells that filled the air. The scent of burning charcoal mingled with the acrid tang of hot metal, a fragrance that spoke of both creation and destruction. As the fire roared in the forge, fed by the careful management of bellows, it released a warmth that enveloped the space, a gentle reminder of the power contained within the flames. This fire was both friend and foe, a tool to be harnessed with respect and caution. The smoke that drifted upwards, curling lazily towards the roof of the smithy, carried with it the essence of the materials being worked upon. The smell of iron and steel, heated and hammered, became as much a part of the environment as the sounds that echoed through it. The blacksmith learned to read these scents, understanding the subtle differences that indicated the progress of the work, the readiness of the metal to be molded and shaped. Within this sensory landscape, the blacksmith moved with a practiced grace, each action flowing into the next. The rhythm of the day was dictated by the needs of the fire, the demands of the work, and the steady beat of the hammer. This rhythm was not hurried, but deliberate, each movement considered and precise. It was a dance of sorts, a choreography born of necessity and honed by experience. Even as the day wore on, the sounds and smells of the smithy remained constant, a sensory backdrop to the labor at hand. The hiss of steam as hot metal met water was a brief, sharp interjection in the symphony, a momentary release of energy, followed by a return to the steady cadence of the hammer's song. This interaction of elements, fire, water, metal, was a reminder of the balance required in the blacksmith's work, a balance that mirrored the broader cycles of nature. In this environment, the blacksmith's senses were finely attuned, each sound and smell providing information, guiding the work with subtle cues. The blacksmith learned to trust these senses, to understand the language of the forge, a language without words but rich in meaning. This was not a world of haste but of patience, where time was marked not by the ticking of a clock, but by the rhythm of work, the ebb and flow of effort and rest. As the day drew to a close, the sound softened, the fire subsided, and the air grew still. The once vibrant symphony of the smithy transformed into a gentle lullaby, the echoes of the day's work fading into the evening. The smells lingered, a reminder of the day's labor, the transformation of raw materials into necessary tools, the sustaining of a community through the quiet, rhythmic work of the blacksmith. In this world of sound, smell, and rhythm, the blacksmith found a sense of place and purpose, a connection to the materials and processes that defined daily life. It was a world where every sound told a story, every scent carried a memory, and every action contributed to the ongoing rhythm of the medieval village. Here, in the sensory embrace of the smithy, the blacksmith's work was not just a craft, but a living testament to the enduring patterns of life and labor. In the heart of the medieval village, the blacksmith's tools lay spread out like extensions of his own hands. Each piece, crafted for a specific purpose, held a quiet significance in the daily rhythm of the smithy. The hammer, perhaps the most iconic of these tools, was more than a mere instrument of force. Its weight and balance were chosen with care, allowing the smith to shape metal with both strength and precision. With each swing, the hammer transformed raw material into useful forms, its rhythmic clang resonating like the heartbeat of the forge. Tongs, equally essential, allowed the smith to handle hot metals with a deftness born of necessity. Gripped firmly, they acted as an extension of the smith's own reach, enabling him to turn, hold, and maneuver heated workpieces with a precision that bare hands could never manage. Each pair of tongs was designed for a particular task, the shape of their jaws tailored to the contours of the materials they would hold. Over time, these tools would become uniquely adapted to their users' preferences, reflecting the subtle nuances of his craft. Chisels, with their sharp edges and sturdy builds, offered the ability to cut and carve metal with remarkable accuracy. The blacksmith wielded them with a steady hand, tapping them with a small hammer to create grooves, lines, and patterns. This precision work required patience and a keen eye, with each strike carefully measured to achieve the desired depth and detail. In the flickering light of the forge, chisels brought an artistry to the blacksmith's work, turning functional objects into items of beauty. Anvils, though seemingly passive, were the silent partners in every task. Their surfaces bore the marks of countless projects, each dent and scratch a testament to the work performed upon them. The choice of anvil was crucial, with its size and shape influencing the ease and efficiency of the blacksmith's efforts. The anvil's hardy construction withstood the force of repeated blows, offering a stable surface against which metal could be shaped and refined. Precision was not merely a matter of tools, it was a skill honed through years of practice. The blacksmith learned to gauge the temperature of metal by its color, a subtle spectrum from red to white-hot that dictated the exact moment to strike. Too cool, and the metal would resist; too hot, and it might burn or warp. This delicate balance between heat and time was mastered through experience, a knowledge passed down from master to apprentice in a slow, steady transfer of wisdom. The forge itself, where these tools found purpose, was an environment of intense heat and focused energy. The fire, fed by charcoal or coal, needed constant attention to maintain the right temperature. Bellows, operated by hand or foot, pumped air into the flames, raising the fire to the temperatures necessary for working iron and steel. The blacksmith's ability to control this environment was as crucial as his skill with tools, for without the right conditions, even the finest techniques would falter. As the day unfolded, the blacksmith moved fluidly between tasks, each requiring its own set of tools and techniques. Horseshoes, for instance, demanded a different approach than making nails or hinges. Yet, despite the variety of tasks, a common thread ran through all the need for precision. In a world where every object was handmade, even the smallest flaw could have consequences. A poorly forged horseshoe might lame a horse, while a weak hinge could fail at an inopportune moment. Over time, the repetition of these tasks instilled a deep familiarity with the tools of the trade. The blacksmith's hands became attuned to the nuances of weight, pressure, and timing. Each tool, from the smallest chisel to the largest hammer, was an integral part of a larger system, each contributing to the creation of objects that were both functional and enduring. In this way, the blacksmith's work was a continual dance of precision and patience, where small, careful actions accumulated into a larger whole. The blacksmith's expertise lay not only in his physical skills, but also in his ability to visualize the final product from a simple piece of metal. This vision guided his hands, transforming raw materials into items of necessity and beauty. It was a process that required both imagination and discipline, qualities cultivated over years of dedicated practice. In the quiet concentration of the forge, the blacksmith connected past experiences with present challenges, each piece of work a testament to his enduring craft. Through the interplay of tools and techniques, the blacksmith's role became clear. He was both an artist and a craftsman, his work a blend of utility and creativity. In shaping metal, he shaped the lives of those in his community, providing the tools and implements necessary for daily life. This symbiotic relationship between the blacksmith and his village underscored the importance of precision in his work. Each piece he created, no matter how small, contributed to the fabric of medieval society, ensuring that life could continue with a little more ease and reliability. As the day drew to a close, the tools were carefully cleaned and stored, ready for the next day's labors. The blacksmith's hands, though calloused and worn, held a deep familiarity with each instrument. In the quiet moments after the forge had cooled, the significance of these tools became apparent. They were not merely objects of metal and wood, but gateways to a world where skill and precision shaped the very essence of daily life. In this way, the blacksmith's tools were both the means and the measure of his craft, quietly sustaining a tradition that bound him to his community and his craft. As the sun reached its zenith, casting a gentle warmth over the medieval village, the blacksmith would pause his ceaseless toil. This moment of respite, though brief, was a cherished interval in the rhythm of his day, offering a chance to step away from the forge, if only for a while. In the quietude that settled over the smithy, the blacksmith could sit and savor the simplicity of his midday meal. Meals in this era, particularly for those engaged in manual labor, were straightforward yet sufficient. The blacksmith's midday fare typically consisted of hearty, uncomplicated foods that provided the necessary sustenance to fuel his demanding work. Coarse bread, often baked from a mixture of rye and wheat, served as the staple. Its dense texture offered a satisfying bite, and it was sometimes accompanied by a modest piece of cheese or a slice of salted meat, preserved through traditional methods that ensured its longevity. The act of eating was not merely about nourishment, it was a moment to reflect and gather one's thoughts. The blacksmith would often find a quiet corner within or just outside the smithy, where he could enjoy his meal in relative solitude. Here, the ambient sounds of village life continued in the background, a gentle reminder of the community that thrived beyond his anvil and bellows. This pause allowed him to rest his weary muscles, his hands marked by the day's labor, and to let his mind wander to thoughts beyond the immediate demands of his craft. Water from a nearby well or a small ale, brewed locally, would accompany the meal, providing refreshment and a welcome change from the heat of the forge. Ale was a common beverage, serving as a safer alternative to often contaminated water sources, and its mild alcohol content was thought to offer some fortification against the rigors of the day. The blacksmith's rest was short, a fleeting interlude before the demands of the afternoon beckoned him back to the forge. Yet it was a necessary pause, allowing the fire within the hearth to be tended, its flames kept alive but subdued, ready to be stoked once more. This careful management of the fire was crucial. Too much neglect could mean a cold start later, While too much attention might waste precious fuel, a commodity not to be squandered. In these moments of pause, the blacksmith might also share his meal with an apprentice, if one was present. This shared experience reinforced the bond between teacher and student, offering an opportunity for quiet conversation and the exchange of wisdom, passed down not through formal instruction, but through lived example and shared labor. The apprentice, eager to learn, would observe not only the blacksmith's technique and skill, but also his habits, cultivating an understanding that was as much about the rhythm of life as it was about the craft itself. The midday rest, while a time of apparent inactivity, was integral to the balance of the blacksmith's day. It allowed for a mental and physical reset, preparing him for the tasks that lay ahead. The simplicity of the meal, devoid of excess or embellishment, mirrored the straightforward nature of his work. Each bite a reminder of the essential sustaining qualities of both food and labor. As the meal concluded, the blacksmith would rise, feeling the weight of his tools once again in his hands. The brief interlude had replenished his energy, and he returned to his work with a renewed focus. The forge awaited, its fire rekindled, and the cycle of shaping metal into tools and implements commenced afresh. Yet the memory of the midday meal lingered, a quiet testament to the enduring patterns that defined his daily existence. These patterns, seemingly mundane, formed the backbone of the blacksmith's life. Each day followed a similar cadence, each meal a small but significant chapter in the broader narrative of his work. In the constancy of these routines, the blacksmith found a measure of stability and purpose, his efforts contributing to the ongoing life of the village that depended so heavily on his skill and dedication. Thus, the midday rest and meal were more than just a break in the workday. They were a moment of introspection and renewal, a chance to reconnect with the fundamental elements of life that sustained the blacksmith's enduring craft. In this way, even the simplest of meals became a vital part of the intricate tapestry of medieval life, woven seamlessly into the rhythms of the forge and the village it served. The blacksmith's work was ever responsive to the quiet rhythms of the seasons. As the year unfolded, so too did the demands on their skilled hands. In the gentle warmth of spring, fields began to stir with life, and tools that had lain dormant through the winter were brought forth for the tasks ahead. Ploughshares needed sharpening, and hoes and scythes required attention, each an essential part of the agricultural tapestry that defined medieval life. The blacksmith's role in this seasonal dance was essential and unassuming, providing the implements that would coax the earth into yielding its bounty. With the arrival of summer, the pace of work would subtly shift. The air, heavy with warmth and the scent of growing crops, signaled a time when the village was fully engaged in the labor of the land. Implements worn thin by the vigor of spring's plowing now needed repair or replacement. The smith, reliable and steady, answered the call with quiet diligence, their forge a steady heart in the thrumming village body. As daylight lingered longer, so too did the hours at the anvil, each strike resonating with the rhythm of growth and abundance. Autumn brought with it the harvest, a culmination of the year's efforts. The fields, once again alive with activity, saw the village gather its rewards. The blacksmith's skills remained in demand, for wagons carrying the fruits of labor required sturdy wheels and secure fittings. Repairs were frequent, the wear and tear of the season's work evident in the cracks and breaks brought to the smithy. Yet this was also a time of preparation, as thoughts began to turn towards the coming winter. Tools were reconditioned and metal edges honed, ensuring readiness for the quieter months ahead. Winter, with its short days and biting chill, drew the village into a slower tempo. The land rested, covered in a blanket of frost, and the blacksmith's work was briefly less frenetic. This was a time for contemplation, for maintaining the tools and equipment that would spring to life once more when the earth began to thaw. Yet even in this quieter season, there was work to be done. The warmth of the forge provided a refuge from the cold, and the steady glow of the fire a reminder of the continuity of craft. Repairs were made to household items, and the occasional commission for decorative ironwork provided variety amidst the routine. Throughout the year, the blacksmith's work was a constant, adapting quietly to the needs of the community and the shifting patterns of nature. Each season brought its own rhythm, a gentle ebb and flow that was mirrored in the steady, unhurried pace of life in the smithy. The blacksmith understood these cycles implicitly, their skills honed not only by the demands of their craft, but by the subtle, unspoken understanding of the land and its people. The cycle of the year, with its familiar rounds of labor and rest, echoed in the blacksmith's work. Their place in the village, while often understated, was undeniably crucial. As each season turned over into the next, the blacksmith's steady presence was a reassurance, a promise that the tools and implements required for life would be ready, reliable, and true. In this unending cycle, the blacksmith was a guardian of practical knowledge, their skills a bridge between the raw potential of nature and the human effort to shape it into sustenance and security. This connection to the land and the seasons was a quiet testament to the enduring nature of their craft, a reminder of the balance between human endeavor and the natural world. Through the years turning, the blacksmith remained a steadfast figure, their work an integral part of the community's shared life, quietly shaping the rhythm of the days. In the gentle hum of medieval life, the blacksmith's existence was woven into the fabric of economic exchange. The village relied on his skills, not just for the crafting of metal, but as an essential node in the barter and currency systems that kept daily life ticking over. In this world, the clang of hammer on anvil was as much a part of trade as the exchange of goods or the minting of coins. Coins circulated as one form of payment, each piece a small, heavy token of economic interaction. The blacksmith might receive silver pennies, a common currency of the time, stamped with the visage of the reigning monarch. These coins were tangible proof of value, their worth acknowledged across regions. Yet, in many rural communities, coinage was not always abundant, and the blacksmith often saw the shimmer of metal replaced by more modest means. Barter, an older and more direct form of trade, thrived alongside coinage. Here, the value was seen in the goods themselves. A farmer might bring a sack of grain or a brace of chickens, offering them to the blacksmith in exchange for a set of iron tools or a sturdy new ploughshare. This exchange required no intermediary measure of value, relying instead on the mutual needs and trust between individuals. The simplicity of barter was underpinned by the community's shared understanding of what was fair and just. Favours also played their part, creating a subtle network of obligations and reciprocations that bound the village together. Perhaps a neighbor assisted in repairing the thatch on the blacksmith's roof, or a local carpenter crafted a new workbench for the smithy. These acts were not always balanced by immediate returns, but rather contributed to a pool of communal goodwill, where favors flowed back and forth as needed, strengthening social ties. The blacksmith, therefore, navigated a complex economy, his role shifting between that of a craftsman and a trader, a provider and a recipient. The balance of these roles was delicate, sustained by the rhythm of work and the cycles of need and production that defined village life. Each transaction, whether in coin, goods, or deeds, was part of a larger pattern, one that ebbed and flowed with the seasons and the fortunes of those involved. Trust underpinned all these exchanges. The blacksmith's reputation for fair dealing was as crucial as his skill at the forge. A smith known for honesty would see his services sought after, his name carried by word of mouth from one community to the next. In such a world, where written contracts were rare, one's word and reputation were among the most valuable currencies. The nature of payment, too, was influenced by the cycles of agricultural life. During harvest, when the fields yielded their bounty, payments in the form of crops were more common. Conversely, in leaner times, when the land lay fallow under winter's breath, the blacksmith might rely more heavily on the goodwill and favors accumulated during more prosperous months. These seasonal shifts contributed to the ebb and flow of his work and remuneration. Coins, when they came, were often spent quickly, used to procure materials that could not be sourced locally, such as high-quality iron or specialized tools. The blacksmith's economic world was one of constant exchange, his earnings feeding back into the community as he purchased goods and services in turn. Each transaction, though small, was a thread in the larger tapestry of medieval village life, ensuring the community's survival and continuity. In this quiet dance of trade and craft, the blacksmith's place was secured by his ability to adapt to the varied forms of payment and exchange that came his way. His understanding of value was both pragmatic and nuanced, grounded in the everyday needs of those he served. The forge was not just a place of work, but a hub of economic activity, its warmth attracting those who came to trade, converse, and connect. This intricate balance of coins, barter, and favors sustained the blacksmith through the years, each interaction reinforcing his essential role within the village. Over time, the patterns of exchange might change, influenced by broader economic shifts or local developments, but the core principles of trust, fairness, and mutual support remained constant. These principles, like the rhythmic beat of his hammer, shaped the steady pulse of village life, ensuring that the blacksmith's work was not only a craft, but a vital part of the community's heartbeat. Thus, the blacksmith's world was defined by more than the simple exchange of goods for services. It was a complex web of relationships and responsibilities, each connection adding strength to the village's collective resilience. In this way, the blacksmith's life was one of quiet influence, his work at once a personal endeavor and a communal contribution, enduring through the subtle interplay of economic and social bonds. Within the walls of a medieval village, the blacksmith's household served as a bustling center of familial activity and shared labor. The home was a place where the demands of craft met the rhythms of domestic life, each person contributing in their own way to the survival and prosperity of the household. The blacksmith's family was a unit in which roles were defined not just by necessity, but by the skills and abilities each member could bring to the table. In the heart of this household, the blacksmith's spouse played a crucial role. Often, she was responsible for managing the domestic sphere, ensuring that the needs of the family were met while also supporting her husband's work. Her duties might include preparing meals, tending to a small garden, and keeping the home in order. Yet her contribution extended beyond the confines of the household. She might also assist in the forge when needed, particularly in smaller tasks that required a delicate hand or a keen eye. Her involvement in the blacksmith's work was a testament to the interconnected nature of their lives, where personal and professional spheres intertwined seamlessly. Children, too, were an integral part of the blacksmith's household. From a young age, they learned the value of hard work and the importance of contributing to the family's livelihood. Boys might start by fetching water or running errands, gradually taking on more responsibility as they grew older. Some would eventually follow in their father's footsteps, learning the craft of blacksmithing through observation and practice. This gradual introduction to the trade ensured that skills were passed down through generations, maintaining the knowledge and techniques that were vital to the community's survival. Daughters, on the other hand, often assisted their mothers with domestic duties, learning the skills necessary to manage a household of their own one day. However, their roles were not limited to the home. In some families, daughters might also be involved in aspects of the blacksmith's work, such as helping to manage the accounts or assisting with lighter tasks in the forge. This division of labor was not rigid, allowing for flexibility based on the family's needs and the individual talents of each member. The blacksmith's household was a microcosm of the village itself, where cooperation and mutual support were essential. Each member played a part in ensuring the smooth operation of both home and forge. The blacksmith relied on his family as much as they relied on him, creating a bond of interdependence that was both practical and emotional. The skills learned within this setting were not just about survival. They were about creating a life that was rich with purpose and meaning. Within the home, evenings might be spent around the hearth, where stories were shared and the day's events discussed. This was a time for relaxation and reflection, a momentary respite from the demands of daily life. The warmth of the fire provided comfort, while the presence of family offered a sense of belonging. These moments of togetherness were as crucial to the household's well-being as the work that filled their days. Although the blacksmith's work was physically demanding and required long hours, the support of his family made it possible to sustain such a life. Their shared efforts ensured that the household functioned smoothly, allowing the blacksmith to focus on his craft. In return, the fruits of his labor provided for the family, creating a cycle of mutual benefit that underpinned their existence. In this familial setting, the blacksmith's household was more than just a place to live. It was a hub of learning, growth, and support. The roles of each member were shaped by tradition and necessity, yet they were also fluid, adapting to the changing needs of the family and the demands of the wider community. This adaptability was key to the household's resilience, enabling them to weather the challenges that life inevitably brought. As the day drew to a close, the blacksmith might find solace in knowing that his family stood behind him, their combined efforts forming the foundation upon which his work rested. In this quiet understanding, the blacksmith's household exemplified the strength found in unity, where the sum of their parts was greater than any single contribution. Through it all, the blacksmith's household remained a testament to the enduring power of family and the vital role each member played in the tapestry of medieval life. Their shared labor and mutual support created a legacy that would be carried forward, woven into the fabric of their community and echoed in the lives of those who followed. In the warm, dim glow of the smithy, the blacksmith stands surrounded by the tools of his trade. Here, amidst the rhythmic clang of hammer upon anvil and the steady roar of the fire, he faces a world shaped by both creation and risk. The forge is a place of transformation, a crucible where raw metal becomes something more. But it is also a place where the potential for injury is ever present, woven into the very fabric of the work. Burns are a constant companion in this environment. The forge's fire, necessary to soften the stubborn metal, reaches temperatures that could sear flesh in an instant. Handling hot iron requires a steady hand and an unwavering focus, yet even the most experienced craftsmen are not immune to the occasional slip or miscalculation. A momentary lapse, and the searing heat can leave its mark, a reminder of the delicate balance between mastery and hazard. Over time, a blacksmith's skin might bear the evidence of his craft, marked by small, healed-over scars, each telling a story of its own. Cuts, too, are part of the occupational landscape. The sharp edges of newly forged tools, the jagged shards of metal, all pose their own quiet threat. The blacksmith must navigate these with care, wielding tongs and hammers with precision to shape and refine without harm. Yet, despite the precautions, the occasional nick or deeper wound is an almost inevitable occurrence. Leather aprons and thick gloves offer some protection, yet they are not foolproof. Each cut requires careful tending, lest it become an entry point for infection, a risk magnified by the lack of antiseptic knowledge common in medieval times. Beyond the immediate injuries, there are the subtler, longer-term strains that accompany a life spent at the forge. The repetitive nature of the work, the constant lifting and hammering, take their toll on the body over years. Muscles grow strong, but joints may ache, and the back may protest the continuous bending and hefting. The physical demands of the blacksmith's role require endurance as much as strength, and this quiet wear can accumulate slowly, unnoticed until it suddenly becomes undeniable. In this era, the concept of formal medical care as we know it today was largely absent. Villagers relied on traditional remedies, passed down through generations, and the wisdom of local healers who used herbs and poultices to treat injuries. A burn might be soothed with a salve made from honey and herbs, while cuts could be bound with cloths soaked in vinegar or wine, believed to cleanse and protect. These folk remedies, though sometimes effective, were not always enough to stave off infection or hasten healing. The absence of advanced medical interventions meant that recovery depended heavily on natural resilience and the body's own ability to mend. Infections, if they set in, could escalate quickly, turning a minor wound into a grave threat. It was a reality the blacksmith understood well, prompting a cautious approach to every task. Despite these challenges, the blacksmith continued his work, guided by skill, experience, and an intimate understanding of the materials he shaped. The forge was his domain, a place where he controlled the elements, bending metal to his will. Yet, it was also a reminder of his vulnerability, a place where respect for the dangers inherent in his craft was paramount. In the quiet moments between tasks, as the fire crackled and the tools lay momentarily still, the blacksmith might reflect on the balance of risk and reward that defined his daily life. He understood that each piece he crafted was a testament to his ability not only to create, but to navigate the perils of his environment. This careful dance between the heat and the hammer, between the risk of injury and the satisfaction of a job well done, was as much a part of his identity as the metal he forged. Over the years, his body adapted to these demands, growing stronger in some ways, yet also bearing the signs of wear. The hands that held the hammer might be gnarled and calloused, yet they were also capable, a testament to the enduring resilience that defined his craft. In this way, the blacksmith embodied a quiet endurance, a steadfast dedication to his role within the community, shaping not only metal, but also the very fabric of daily life. Thus, in the forge, amidst the steady rhythm of work and the ever-present risks, the blacksmith continued to ply his trade. Each day offered a new opportunity to balance creation with caution, to honor the traditions of his craft while acknowledging the inherent challenges. Through it all, he remained an integral part of the village, a figure of both strength and vulnerability, shaping not only the tools of daily life, but also the enduring spirit of resilience and community. In the quiet villages of medieval times, the blacksmith stood as a figure of quiet significance. His role was neither one of grandeur nor of fleeting acclaim, but rather one of enduring reliability. The blacksmith's life was built upon the steady foundation of trust, a currency more valuable than any coin. In a world where the strength of metal underpinned the very fabric of daily life, his reputation was forged through consistent and attentive service. The blacksmith was not just a tradesman, but a cornerstone of the community. His skills were essential, and his work could be found in every corner of village life. From the simplest nail to the most intricate of tools, each item bore the mark of his craft. This craftsmanship was not merely about the creation of objects, but about the assurance that each piece would perform its function without fail. In an era when failure could mean the difference between harvest and hardship, such assurance was invaluable. Reputation for the blacksmith was not built overnight, but was the result of repeated demonstrations of skill and dependability. Each successful job completed, each satisfied customer contributed to a slowly growing narrative. It was a narrative spoken quietly among villagers, shared over market stalls and during communal gatherings. The blacksmith's work was his voice, each hammer strike a quiet assertion of his worth. Trust was woven into the very fabric of the village's social structure. The blacksmith's expertise was sought not only for the quality of his creations, but for the knowledge that he stood behind his work. In times when resources were scarce and the margin for error was thin, knowing that a tool could be relied upon was a comfort. The blacksmith offered more than just metalwork, he offered peace of mind. Over time, a bond formed between the blacksmith and the villagers. This bond was nurtured through a mutual understanding and respect. The villagers depended on the blacksmith's skills, and in turn, he relied on their continued patronage and their faith in his abilities. It was a symbiotic relationship, each side supporting the other in a quiet, enduring dance. In a world where communication was largely verbal, the blacksmith's reputation traveled slowly yet firmly. Word of his reliability and skill extended beyond the immediate confines of the village, reaching travelers, merchants, and even neighboring communities. Such a reputation could open doors, bringing new opportunities and challenges, each reinforcing the circle of trust that defined his professional life. The blacksmith's role was one of quiet assurance. His presence in the village was a constant, a steady hand that shaped the tools of agriculture, the implements of daily living, and the very infrastructure of the community. His reputation was his legacy, crafted carefully over years of diligent work and attention to detail. Every interaction, every task completed with care, added another layer to the trust bestowed upon him. For the blacksmith, recognition was not sought through grand gestures or proclamations. Instead, it was the accumulation of small acts of service, each contributing to a mosaic of trustworthiness and reliability. This reputation was not an end in itself, but a means of ensuring the continued prosperity of both the blacksmith and the community he served. In the meditative rhythm of his work, the blacksmith found a sense of purpose. Each day spent at the forge, each tool carefully crafted, was part of a larger narrative of service and dedication. His craft was a testament to the power of quiet consistency, a reminder that true value often lies not in the fleeting moments of triumph, but in the steady, reliable presence of dependable skill. And so, as the days turned to years, the blacksmith's reputation grew, a silent testament to the enduring power of trust. His story was told not with words but with the weight of metal, the warmth of fire, and the steady rhythm of the anvil. It was a story of connection, of a life spent in service to a community that, in turn, honored him with their trust and respect. As the sun begins its descent, casting elongated shadows across the village, the blacksmith's day slowly draws to a close. The light from the forge, once vibrant and lively, begins to recede into a gentler glow, a quiet counterpart to the vibrant daylight that has accompanied the blacksmith through his day. This is the time when the rhythmic pounding of the hammer on the anvil gradually slows, each strike resonating with the familiar cadence that marks the closing of another day's work. Evening tasks unfold in a familiar order, each step deliberate and necessary. Cooling the tools is among the first of these tasks. The metal implements, having served tirelessly throughout the day, require careful attention. The blacksmith takes each one, still warm from the day's exertions, and immerses it in a trough of water. Steam rises gently, a soft sigh as the water meets the heated metal. This process, simple yet essential, ensures that the tools maintain their integrity, ready to withstand the demands of another day. As the tools cool, the blacksmith moves methodically, ensuring each is inspected and placed in its rightful spot. Organization within the smithy is subtle but vital, each tool having its designated place, a silent testament to the order within this space. The bellows, which have tirelessly breathed life into the forge, are now left to rest. Their leather folds, once expanding and contracting with purpose, are now still, awaiting the next dawn. The forge itself, the heart of this workspace, is gently coaxed into slumber. The blacksmith tends to the embers, ensuring they diminish safely, their glow fading slowly into the ash. This careful attention prevents any unintentional fires, a quiet vigilance that underscores the ever-present partnership between man and flame. The heat, once intense, gradually dissipates, leaving behind a warmth that lingers in the air, an echo of the day's labor. Securing the smithy for the night involves a series of practiced movements, each one deliberate and unhurried. The doors are checked, their hinges oiled to silence any protest. The windows, small and utilitarian, are fastened shut, barring the cool night air from entering the space. These actions, though routine, are imbued with a sense of care, ensuring the smithy remains untouched until the morning light returns. With the physical space attended to, the blacksmith pauses to reflect upon the day's work. Each piece crafted, each repair made, contributes to the quiet continuity of village life. There is no fanfare, no grand pronouncement of achievement, just the quiet satisfaction of a day spent in purpose. The blacksmith takes a moment to appreciate the stillness that now envelops the smithy, a stark contrast to the activity that filled it just hours before. The blacksmith's hands, now free from the demands of the forge, bear the marks of their trade. Calloused and strong, they reflect a life spent in service to the craft, each line and scar a testament to the dedication required. As the evening deepens, the blacksmith leaves the forge, stepping into the cooling air of the village. The transition from the warmth of the forge to the gentle embrace of the evening is a moment of quiet reflection, a brief pause before the rhythm of the day resumes again. The village around the smithy begins to settle into its own evening routine. The sounds of day fade, replaced by the softer murmur of nighttime activities. Each household carries on with its tasks, the collective hum of a community winding down. The blacksmith, now part of this broader tapestry of life, finds a quiet satisfaction in the shared experience of another day concluded. As the night deepens, the smithy stands silent, a space of potential awaiting the return of the morning sun. The tools resting in their places are ready to spring back into action, each one a crucial component in the continuation of daily life. The forge, now dormant, holds within it the promise of new creations, its embers patiently awaiting the touch of the blacksmith's hand. In this quiet conclusion, the blacksmith's day finds its closure. There is no rush, no urgency, just the gentle progression from one moment to the next. The rhythm of the forge mirrors the larger rhythm of life, each day a cycle of effort and rest, of creation and reflection. As the village settles into the stillness of the night, the blacksmith's world is one of quiet satisfaction, a life crafted in the steady, measured cadence of the forge. As the years passed, the blacksmith found himself easing gradually into the quieter rhythms that age often brings. The forge, once a demanding realm of relentless activity, now became a place of reflective observation. His hands, once strong and agile, now bore the telltale signs of decades spent wielding hammers and tongs. There was a certain wisdom in these hands, a knowledge that came not from books, but from a lifetime of experience and practice. The blacksmith's role began to shift from the intense physicality of shaping metal to the more composed task of guiding younger hands. In the early years, the blacksmith's days were filled with the clang of metal, the heat of the forge, and the ceaseless demands of production. But as he grew older, his presence in the smithy took on a different quality. Where once he stood at the forefront, now he stepped back, allowing apprentices to take the lead. This transition was not abrupt, but rather it unfolded gently, much like the slow change of seasons. It was a time for the blacksmith to impart the knowledge he had gathered over a lifetime, passing it on to the next generation who would continue the craft. The young apprentices, eager yet inexperienced, looked to him for guidance. They watched as he demonstrated techniques, his movements deliberate and measured. Each action carried a lesson, each tool a story. There was a newfound patience in the blacksmith, an understanding that mastery was not achieved in haste. He taught them the value of precision, showing how a slight misstep could lead to a flawed piece. In this way, he ensured that the skills and traditions of the trade would endure, even as his own physical strength began to wane. The smithy, once a place of solitary toil, now became a classroom of sorts. The blacksmith found himself in the role of mentor, a position that required a different kind of strength, one of mind and character. He guided the apprentices not just in the practical aspects of the craft, but also in the subtler art of patience and perseverance. He knew that these qualities were as essential as any tool in the workshop. As he shared stories of his own challenges and triumphs, he instilled in them a respect for the work and an appreciation for the dedication it required. There was a quiet satisfaction in this new phase of life. The blacksmith could see his impact reflected in the progress of his apprentices. Each successful creation, each confident strike of the hammer was a testament to his teachings. And though he no longer worked the anvil with the same force as in his youth, his influence was felt in every piece that left the forge. In this way, he remained an integral part of the community, his legacy carried forward by those he had trained. With less emphasis on physical labor, the blacksmith found more time for reflection. He would often sit at the edge of the forge, watching the flames dance, contemplating the years gone by. The smithy, with its familiar sights and sounds, held a lifetime of memories. Here, he had forged not just metal, but also relationships, with customers who had become friends and apprentices who had become like family. There was a deep sense of fulfillment in knowing that he had contributed to the life and well-being of the village, one piece at a time. In this later stage, the blacksmith also took pleasure in the simpler tasks. He found a new appreciation for the routine of maintaining the tools and organizing the workspace. These actions, though mundane, were important in their own right, ensuring the smithy remained a functional and efficient environment. The care he took in these duties reflected his enduring commitment to the craft, a commitment that had not waned with age. Even as his own role evolved, the blacksmith remained ever mindful of the community's needs. He continued to oversee the work, ensuring that standards were upheld and that the quality of the products met the village's expectations. His presence provided a sense of continuity and stability, reassuring those who depended on the forge for their livelihoods. The village respected him not only for his skill, but for his integrity and the quiet wisdom he shared with all who entered the smithy. As the days passed, the blacksmith found contentment in the balance between work and repose. His evenings were often spent in quiet reflection, perhaps with a simple meal shared with family. He cherished these moments, knowing they were as much a part of his life as the hours spent at the forge. The rhythm of his days had changed, but the essence of his work remained unchanged, an enduring dedication to the craft and the community he served. In the twilight of his career, the blacksmith embraced the gradual transition from the physical to the contemplative. He understood that every stage of life brought its own challenges and rewards. His years of experience had taught him that strength was not solely measured by physical prowess, but also by the ability to adapt and to nurture the talents of others. This was the legacy he hoped to leave behind. A legacy not just of metal and fire, but of knowledge and inspiration. As he looked upon the apprentices, the blacksmith saw the future of his craft. He took comfort in knowing that the skills and values he had imparted would continue to shape the village long after he had laid down his tools. In this way, he found peace, content in the knowledge that the forge would remain a vital part of the community, and that his life's work had been meaningful and lasting. In the twilight of his years, the blacksmith stands quietly at the threshold of his forge. The familiar surroundings echo with the memories of countless days spent honing his craft. Each tool, each imperfection in the anvil tells a story of dedication, persistence, and the slow mastery of skills that have sustained not only him, but the village he served. This life, shaped by the rhythmic cadence of hammer on metal, has been a testament to the quiet power of routine and the strength found in repetition. The blacksmith's journey began with the simple yet profound act of learning. From the moment he first stepped into the forge as an apprentice, he was drawn into a world where patience was as vital as strength. Under the watchful eye of his master, he learned to wield the hammer with precision, to control the fire's intensity, and to understand the subtle language of the glowing metal. These lessons, absorbed over years, became the foundation upon which he built his life. Through the years, the blacksmith came to appreciate the intricacies of his trade. He understood that each day, though seemingly repetitive, brought with it the potential for small improvements and quiet triumphs. It was in the careful crafting of a horseshoe or the delicate repair of a ploughshare that he found a sense of purpose. These tasks, though simple, were vital to the village's daily existence. They connected him to the farmers, the villagers, and the land itself in a web of dependency and trust. As he reflects, the blacksmith recognizes the vital role he played within the community. His work was not merely about shaping metal, but about shaping lives. The tools he forged and repaired were extensions of the people who used them. They were the means by which fields were tilled, goods were transported, and homes were built. In this way, the blacksmith's labor was woven into the very fabric of village life, offering a quiet assurance that life's necessities would be available when needed. In his mind's eye, the blacksmith sees the faces of those who have come to him over the years. Farmers with weathered hands and hopeful expressions, merchants seeking repairs to their carts, and even children, wide-eyed with curiosity about the forge's mysteries. Each interaction, though brief, was a thread in the tapestry of his life, a reminder of the trust placed in his hands and the responsibility he bore. The blacksmith's reflections also turned to the physical demands of his craft. The years have etched lines of experience into his body, a testament to the labor and endurance required by his work. His muscles, once strong and resilient, now bear the marks of time and exertion. Yet, he carries these signs of wear as badges of honor, each scar and callus a reminder of the work that gave his life meaning. There is a quiet satisfaction in knowing that his efforts have contributed to something greater than himself. The blacksmith has witnessed the cycles of life and nature, the ebb and flow of the seasons, and the gradual evolution of the village. Through it all, his forge has been a constant, a beacon of continuity in a world subject to change. This constancy, he realizes, is a legacy that will endure beyond his own years. As the day draws to a close, the blacksmith finds solace in the knowledge that he has passed on his skills to a new generation. The apprentices who once stood where he now stands have become masters in their own right, perpetuating the cycle of learning and craftsmanship. This transfer of knowledge is a quiet triumph, ensuring that the art of the forge will persist, adapting to new needs and challenges as it has always done. The blacksmith's life has been one of service, not only to the tools he crafted, but to the community he supported. In the quiet moments of reflection, he recognizes that his craft has shaped him as much as he has shaped the metal. It has taught him patience, resilience, and the value of humble persistence. These lessons, learned in the steady glow of the forge, have defined his existence and provided a sense of fulfillment that transcends the physical. As the embers of the day fade and the forge rests in silence, the blacksmith contemplates the gentle passage of time. He understands that his role, though seemingly small in the grand tapestry of history, has been a vital thread in the story of his village. His life, dedicated to the quiet art of shaping metal, has been a testament to the enduring power of craft and the simple beauty of a life lived with purpose. In these final reflections, the blacksmith finds peace. He stands as a bridge between the past and the future, his legacy carried forward by the hands he has guided and the skills he has shared. As he closes the forge one last time, he is content in the knowledge that the work of his hands will continue to echo through the lives of those he has touched, a silent testament to a life of craft and quiet service.